Hello, all my students. Welcome to online classroom. Okay, so we are still discussing the topic of electronic contracting. Remember, we have seen from our previous lecture that now we can just make contracts by the use of data messages. Okay, so a contract can be formed by the use of a data message. If you look at the issues which on screen now. Okay, you will know where we are now. Okay. Last time, remember in our previous lecture, we talked about how a contract is formed. Okay, by the use of a data message. Okay, that is what we have seen in our previous lecture. Okay, we have seen that the rule now, okay, allows us to make an offer or an acceptance in the form of a data message. When a contract is formed, okay, when the contract is formed by the use of a data message to make an offer or an acceptance, then nobody can deny the legal effects of that contract. Okay, solely on the ground that it is in the form of a data message. Okay, so if anyone would like to deny legal effect of a contract which is formed by the use of a data message, that person need to invoke any other reasons, not just by reason that it is formed by the use of a data message. Okay, so we have seen that in our Electronic Transactions Act, okay, or the ETA, we have section 13, okay, that is what we have discussed. And we have also discussed that nowadays we more and more use the automated message system in order to make offers or acceptances on our behalf. So if we just make offers or acceptances, okay, by the use of data messages through an automated message system, then a contract can also be formed. Okay, nobody can argue that a contract which is formed, okay, by or through an automated message system, okay, that will not be valid or will not be enforceable simply because there is no human being, okay, the reviewing or the intervening in any action, okay, in each process of the formation of a contract. Okay, so that is what we have seen in our previous lecture. Okay, and in our previous lecture we have discussed the legal status of advertisements on websites or on the social media. We have said that normally advertisements on websites or on any other social media will operate as invitations to make offers or invitations to trade, okay, rather than offers. Okay, so if we just place our order, let's say that on a website, okay, we, the user of the internet, we are just making an offer, not an acceptance, simply because an advertisements on a website is not an offer. It is just an invitation to trade. So when it is an invitation to trade, then an offer is made by an internet user. Okay, that is what we also have seen. Okay, from our previous lecture. And in our previous lecture, we have also talked about what is known as a click wrap agreement. Okay, when we click an icon on, let's say, on the internet website. Okay. And it has been claimed by merchants that once we click an icon, okay, a contract is, of course, when a contract is formed through a click of an icon, then the contract is formed in a manner incorporating the terms of use, okay, by the merchant. Okay, normally the merchant will just have, the merchants normally have terms of use which are usually placed at the end of the website, again, in the form of a hyperlink. So the terms of use. So sometimes the merchant may call it, okay. Sometimes the merchant may call it terms of use, or sometimes the merchants may call them the user agreement, something like that. Okay, so the question arises as to whether or not, okay, the terms of use or use agreements, okay, to which are normally referred to by a hyperlink form part of a contract. Okay, so we have seen that, sometimes, the terms of use may not be considered as part of the contract. Different countries have, the different perceptions. Okay, in the common law countries, normally they have the so-called reasonable notice rule. The reasonable notice rule can be used, okay, in the light of quick claim agreement or the terms of use. Okay, so if the merchant fails to give a reasonable notice of the terms of use, okay, then the term of use may not be considered as part of the contract. Okay, so a merchant need to just take steps, okay, reasonable steps in the bringing the terms of use to the attention of the internet users in order for the terms of use to be considered as part of the contract. Okay, that is what we have seen from our previous lecture. So today, okay, we are going to go through other issues, okay, beginning with the issue regarding errors and duplications. Okay, sometime, okay, we begin with this one, okay, with the issue error in communication. Okay, so we can see that sometimes when we send, the data messages in order to make transactions, data messages which are sent may encounter some error. Okay, error in communications. Let's say that we would like to just place our order. Okay, we may visit a website and we may be interested in some product, so we are going to place an order. Okay, normally the website may have sort of an order form for us to complete. So when we go to the order form, okay, determined by the merchant, okay, we may just fill the form, we may just complete the form. Let's suppose that we just specify the quantity of the goods. We specify the quantity of the good as, let's say that as what? As just one. We want to order, let's say that one book. Okay, on the website, we just visit the website and we are interested in the book. So that when we say an order form, okay, made by the merchant, okay, we fill in the quantity. We just type, the order. We just type in the order form. Okay, we type, the keyboard one. But every time when we type, the keyboard, we press just one. But our computer just makes it into 1. Okay, so every time when we press the keyboard 1, our computer may just make it into 1. We want to order just one book, but every time when we press the keyboard 1, okay, our computer makes it into 1, so that our order, which is placed on the website, okay, specify the quantity of the goods as 1. We intend to just press 1, but our computer makes it into 1, so our order, which is sent to the merchant, okay, indicates that that is an order for 1 books, not just one book. This is a situation which we are now considering. Okay, so in this situation we are dealing with an error. Okay, an error which occurs in communication. Okay, the error which occurred in the communication. Okay, it is not a human error. Okay, it is not a human-made error, but it is an error, okay, in the communication. Okay, in this case, the question which we have to consider is who will bear the risk of this error. Okay, the error okay, in the communication. Okay, in this case, back to the example here, we just want to order just one book, only one book. But every time when we press the keyboard 1, our computer makes it into 1, so that an order which is sent to the merchant, okay, indicates that that is an order for 11 books. So in this case, let's suppose that the merchant sends, the merchant after our purchase, after our placement of the order, the merchant just sends 11 books to us and requires to make payment for 11 books, not just one book. In this case, can we just argue that we are indeed obligated to take delivery of just one book and pay, for just one book, not 11 books, because we intended to order just one book, not 11 books. When the order indicated, the quantity of the goods as one book, that is an error, which occurs in communication. Can we argue this way? Well, when we argue this way, the merchant may just say that, sorry, we don't care about this, okay? When we here mean the merchant, okay? When we have received an order for one book, we are entitled to regard that is an order for one book, okay? One books, not just one book. Even though you try to say that you intended to order one book, but when you press the keyboard one, your computer just, by mistake, your computer made it into one book. But that is not our concern. Our concern is that we have received the order which indicates, the quantity as one book. So now we send you one books. So, when the merchant just argue this way, who is right, who is wrong? Back to the question here, who bears the risk of error in communication, okay, between A and B, okay? Let's say that A and B, they are now, they have now made a contract, okay? A just sent an order to B, okay, and when A sends an order to B, every time when A pressed the keyboard 1, the computers used by A made it into 1, so that A's order, which has been sent to B, indicates that is an order for one book, so that B now sends A one books and wants to collect payments for one books. In this case, will A be under the obligation to pay just for one book, or will A have to pay for 11 books? Because the order which is sent to B indicates that is an order for 11 books. Who will bear the risk of this error, okay, in communication, okay? So in this case, okay, when this kind of mistake, when this kind of error occurs, the position adopted by law is this. This position is embodied in Thai law. It is embodied in Section 17 of the Electronic Transactions Act, okay, 2001. Again, we are going to call this act ETA, okay, Electronic Transactions Act, okay. The ETA in Section 17 that provides as follows. The addressee is entitled to regard the data message as received as being what the originator intended to send, and to act on that assumption with respect to that data message. So if we look at the position of the law here, the position adopted by Section 17 here, we can see that if A places an order, okay, the order is sent by A to B, the order indicates that is an order for one book, okay? But every time when A pressed, press the keyboard 1, the computer used by A makes it into 1, so that the order sent by A indicates that is an order for 11 books. In this case, the addressee is whom? The addressee is B, so B is entitled to regard that, the message, the order as sent by A, it is what is intended by A, okay? The addressee is entitled to regard the data message as received as being what the originator intended to send, and to act on that assumption, okay, with respect to that data message. So when the order as sent by A indicates that that is in order for one books, then B is entitled to regard that that is an order for one books, and B can just act on that assumption, okay? So that B in this case is entitled to collect money for how many books? 11 books, not just one book. So in this case, who bears the risk of error, okay? The one who bears the risk of error is who? Is the sender or the originator, okay? The originator will have to bear the risk of error. Even though there is the error, okay, even though the message as sent by A has an error resulting from, transmission, okay, the error in the communication, okay, in this case, despite the error, then the originator A, the sender, okay, will have to bear the risk of the error simply because B, the addressee, okay, the addressee is entitled to regard that the message which is received by B reflects the real intention, of whom, of the sender or the originator, i.e. A. So even though the message as sent by A has an error resulting from transmission, B is entitled to regard that message as sent by A, that is the real intention of the sender or the originator, and then B, the addressee, can just act on that assumption. So in this case, B, okay, the merchant, okay, who received the order from A, can just act on that assumption, okay. B can regard that is the order sent by A, the order which is sent by A, that is the order for 11 books, not just one book, and B can just, demand payment for 11 books. That is the rule. So, why is the law, okay, why does the law take that, take that position? The rationale of this, perception is this. Okay, between the sender or the originator and the addressee, is not in the position to know of any error. So, when the addressee receives the message from the originator or the sender, the addressee is not in the position to know whether or not there is an error. So that's why the law just, the law just entitles the addressee to regard that the message as received by the addressee has no error, okay, and reflects the real intention of the originator. Right, so this is the position, okay. This is the rationale behind this provision of Section 17. The reason why Section 17 just say that the risks of errors, okay, fall on whom? On the originators, is because the addressee is in no position to know about any error. Okay, so the addressee is entitled by law to regard that the message as received by the addressee has no error. Okay, so you have to understand, the perception, or the perception, okay, taken by the law. Again, Section 17 here. What is provided in this Section 17 here? It is not the local thinking, because we have just taken, the concept from the model law on e-commerce. Okay, so the rule in the Section 17 here has been taken from the rule in the ancestral model law on e-commerce. Okay, so if you look at the 11th provision of the Astronomy law on e-commerce, you will see that the wording used, in the law, in the model law, is in the same line here. Is in the same line, not because the UN has copied from us, but because we, Thailand, we have copied from the UN, from the UN. Okay, when I say UN here, that means that from the model law, the ancestral model law on electronic commerce 1996. Okay, so again, go to the wording of section 17 again. The addressee is entitled to, the addressee is entitled to regard the data message as received as being what the originator intended to send, and to act on that assumption with respect to that data message. This is a rule, okay? Is there any exception? The answer is yes. There is exception, okay? Even though the rule, as a matter of the rule, the risk of error falls on the originator, okay? But if the addressee knew or should have known of the error, then there is no more reason to protect the addressee. Okay, remember the reason why the law protects the addressee by the entitling the addressee to regard that the message received by the addressee has no error and indeed reflects the real intention of the originator, is because the addressee is in no position to know about the error. But if the addressee knew or should have known that the message which is received by the addressee has the error, then there is no more reason to protect the addressee. In this case, the addressee will not be able to regard that the message as received has no error. Okay, if you look at the exception here, it is contained in in the later part of section 17 here. Okay, unless, look at the wording here, unless the addressee knew or should have known, had the addressee exercised reasonable care or acted in accordance with the agreed procedure, that the data message as received had an error resulting from the transmission. So if we try to explain, by looking at this, the A and B situation, remember, according to our example, A sends an order to B. A intended to just place an order for one book. But every time when A presses the keyboard 1, then the computer used by A makes it into 1. In this case, the rule is that the rule is that B, as the addressee, is entitled by law to regard that the order received by B, it is the order for 11 books or one books. But if the addressee, if B knew or should have known that that is the error, let's suppose that after B has received the order from A suspected that his system made a mistake or encountered some error, so that A does inform B that he wanted to order just one book. If B received an order indicating that the number as something else, not just one, okay, then please understand that is an order for just one book. If A informs this to B, then B knew about the error, so that B cannot just regard that is the order for one books anymore. If B knew about the error, okay, then B could not just demand A to just pay for 11 books. Okay, when the law uses the word knew or should have known, the word know or knew here, that means the actual knowledge That means that B knew this actually, but with respect to the use of the verb should have known or ought to have known, that is not the actual knowledge, but that is called the constructive knowledge. That means that the law, okay, the law just regard the law, even though B does not know about that. B did not know, but the law just regarded that B knew from some circumstances. So the word should have known or ought to have known, that is the so-called constructive knowledge. The knowledge as construed by law. Okay, the law just construes that B knew this from some circumstances of the case. Okay, let's suppose that you know that the goods as ordered by A is very, very expensive. Let's suppose that A just placed an order for the CT scanner, which is used normally by hospitals. Okay, CT scanner, it is very expensive. Okay, it can cost something like 10 million baht or what. Okay, let's suppose that A just order the only one CT scanners from B, but every time when A press the keyboard 1, it makes into 1. In this case, given that this is a product which is externally expensive, okay, it is quite impossible that anyone can order 11. Okay, anyone can order 11 the items of this product. So if B receive an order indicating that that is an order for 1, okay, the items of this product, it is quite impossible. Okay, it is quite unlikely. Okay, so that in this case B should have known of the error, so that B would not be entitled to regard that the message received reflects the real intention of the originator or A in this case, right? Now, okay, back to the example. In fact, I have covered this example already. Okay, let's go that. For clarity, okay, let's go to this example again. We have Somchai here, and we have Somchai. Okay, Somchai order 1 book. Okay, he placed an order, okay, through the website. Okay, so he just fill in an order form, which is indeed available on the website. Okay, and he specified the quantity of the product as just 1. But every time when he just press the keyboard, it made into 1. He wanted to order just 1 book, but when he pressed the keyboard 1, his computer made it into 1. So in this case, let's suppose that Somchai sent this order, okay, to the merchant. Okay, now the merchant sends Somchai an invoice requesting Somchai to make payment for 1 book. So in this case, if we go back to the rule in section 17 here, we can come to the conclusion that in this case, okay, Somchai will have to pay, okay, the price for how many books? 1 book or 11 books? The answer is 11 books, because in the case of an error like this, an error which results from the transmission, in the case of an error which results from the transmission, okay, the law sets the rule in section 17 that the addressee, okay, the addressee is the merchant, of course, in this case, okay, is entitled to regard that the message as received, okay, it is what the originator intended to send, and the addressee is entitled to act on that assumption, so that the merchant in this case can just go ahead with the assumption that that is an order for 11 books, and the merchant can just demand Somchai in this case to make payment for 11 books, not just for 1 book. Okay, so this is the provision of law in the Thailand CTA. Again, this is not a locally thought the perception, okay, it is the perception which is drawn from the 11th provision of the Astro-Money Law on Electronic Commerce 1996. Okay, so now, right, when we address, okay, the section 17 here, remember section 17 here deals with an error which results from what? From the transmission. This is the error which occurs through the system, not the error which is made by a man. If we talk about a man-made error or the human error, okay, we may have what is known as an input error. An input error, this means that, maybe we press the wrong key. It is made by us. It is made by a man, not by the system. Okay, the error occurs not, okay, not as a result of the system, but as a result of the human error. Okay, let's suppose that I want to order just one book, but I press the wrong key. Rather than pressing the one, I press the wrong keyboard. I press 3. Okay, just means just 2 buttons away. Okay, and so I wanted to order just one book, but when I press the keyboard, I press the keyboard. I press the 3, the number 3 keyboard here. Okay, so that in that case, that is not the error which results in the transmission. That is not an error which results from the transmission, but that is the input error. Okay. At the time when we dropped the ETA of 2001, remember we took the concept from what? From the Astro-Money Law on e-commerce. At the time, the Astro-Money Law on e-commerce contained no provision regarding input errors. The UN, the United Nations, okay, come to realize the concept regarding the input error much later. Okay, it came about in the UN Convention on the Use of Electronic Communications in International Contracts 2005. Okay, that is much later. Much later than the time of the enactment of what? The Astro-Money Law on e-commerce. Remember, the Astro-Money Law on e-commerce occurred in what? In 1996. The Astro-Money Law on electronic signatures occurred in 2001, but the UN Convention on the Use of Electronic Communications in the International Contracts occurred in 2005. In this international instrument, the UN just realized the input errors, and the UN just dedicates one provision dealing with what? Dealing with the input error, which now emerges as Article 14 in this convention. If you look at the heading of Article 14, it is error in electronic communications. Okay, error in electronic communications. You may think that, well, that is similar to what has been said in the Money Law on e-commerce, but it is not, because if you look at the contents of this provision, you will know that that is the input error. Okay, look at the wording here. Where a natural person makes an input error. See, where a natural person makes an input error. The word input errors, that depicts what? That signifies an error which is made by a human being. It is the man-made error. Okay, for example, okay, as what I have explained to you, I wanted to order just one book, but when I just press the keyboard, rather than pressing the keyboard 1, I just pressed the wrong keyboard. I pressed the keyboard 3, so that my order indicated the goods. My order indicated the quantity of the goods as three books, not just one book. I wanted to order one book, but I pressed the wrong key. so that my order indicated the quantity of the goods as 3, not 1. In this case, it is an input error. Okay, so with respect to an input error, what is the rule contained in this UN Convention on the use of electronic communications in international contracts 2005? In the event where this kind of error, an input error occurs, the law in the UN Convention, okay, allows the person who makes an input error to do what? To withdraw. Okay, so I mean the right which is established by Article 14. It is the right to withdraw the portion of the electronic communication in which the input error was made. So I intended to order just one book, but I pressed the wrong key. Rather than pressing the keyboard 1, I pressed the wrong keyboard. So I pressed the keyboard 3, not just 1, so that my order by mistake indicated the quantity of the goods as 3, not 1. In this case, the UN Convention allows the person who makes the input error like this to withdraw the error, withdraw the portion of the electronic communication. Well, the word electronic communication, it is equivalent to the word a data message as used in the Ancestrol law on e-commerce. So again, in the event where any input error is made, then this provision of Article 14 of this convention allows the person who has made this input error to withdraw the portion of the electronic communication in which the input error was made, provided that, if you look at the conditions, okay, the conditions for the withdrawal of the input error, you will see that the law sets some condition. In fact, there are also some conditions, okay, in the wording of paragraph 1 here. If we go through the wording in paragraph 1, okay, let's have a look at the wording of paragraph 1 here, where a natural person. If we go to this wording, we will say the conditions set by law, where a natural person makes an input error in an electronic communication exchanged with the automated message system. So from this part, we can say the important condition. In order for us, the person who does enter some input error, okay, the condition number 1 is that, okay, it must be the communication between whom and whom, between a natural person and an automated message system. That means that must be the situation of a communication between whom and whom, between a human being, a natural person, and the automated message system. Put simply, it must be the communication between a man and the machine. When I use the word machine, okay, I just want to mean the automated message system. So the input error can be withdrawn only when it is entered in the communication between a natural person and the automated message system. This is condition number 1. Okay, the right to withdraw the portion of the electronic communication in which an input error was made can only be exercised when the input error was made in the communication between a natural person and the automated message system. And have a read again, okay? Where a natural person makes an input error in an electronic communication exchange with the automated message system of another party, and the automated message system does not provide the person with an opportunity to correct the error. See, so we can see the condition number two. The condition number two for the right to withdraw the the portion of the e-communication in which the input error was made is that the automated message system, okay, which interacted with the next person, does not provide the person with an opportunity to correct the error. Again, that it is a situation of the communication between whom and whom, between a man, between a human being, i.e. the next person, and the machine, i.e. the automated message system. And that machine, that automated message system does not allow the person who has entered, the message, doesn't allow the person who has made the input, okay, to correct. It doesn't allow that person to correct the error. It's about that, we do our online shopping, okay. We just visit the website, okay, and we just, complete the form used by the machine. When we, complete the form, we may just make an input error. We want to order just one book, but we press the wrong key. We press the key 3 in place of 1, so that our order by speed check indicates the number of the book as 3, not just 1. In that case, it is the situation where we, as a next person, interacts with the automated message system, and that automated message system does not give us any opportunity to correct the error. If that website just display the screen saying that, well, please check your order, then in that case, okay, if the system used by the machine, okay, displays the screen and allows us to just look at the message which has been completed, in that case, we can know about the error. If we see the error, then if the system, okay, if the automated message system allows us to make correction, in that case, we will not have the right to withdraw the input error anymore, because the machine, the automated message system, does allows us, okay, some opportunities of what? Of correcting the error, so that the right to withdraw the portion of the electronic communication in which the input error was made occur only when, first, it is communication between a next person and the automated message system, and secondly, okay, that automated message system does not provide that next person any opportunity to correct the error. It is the first two conditions, okay? The first two conditions for the exercise of the right to withdraw the portion of the electronic communication in which the input error was made. Not only that, there are two more conditions as in A and B. If you look further, okay, I try to read, I try to go through the wording again in order for you to have a clear picture of this Article 14. Okay, 14 of the UN Convention on the Use of E-Communication in International Contracts 2005, which is also implanted into Thailand's ETA, okay, as the new section 17/1. So we have to understand, the provision of Article 14 of the Convention first. If we understand, the concepts embodied in Article 14, of this convention, we will accordingly understand everything which is contained in the new section 17/1, which has been inserted into our ETA by the ETA number 2, okay? By the ETA number 2, which has been enacted in 2019, along the line of Article 14 of the UN Convention on the Use of Electronic Communications in International Contracts 2005. Okay, so we have seen that in the case where a man or a next person interacts with the automated message systems, and that man just made an input error, okay, if the automated message system does not provide that man any opportunity to correct the error, then the law allows that man to withdraw the portion of the e-communication in which the input error was made if A and B. So A and B here are two further conditions for the exercise of the right to withdraw the input error. Look at the condition in A. And the condition in A is the person. This person here is the person who, the person here, it is the next person who has made the input error, okay? The person or the party on whose behalf that person was acting. The party on whose behalf that person was acting, it may be the company for which this person works, okay? The person or the party on whose behalf that person was acting notifies the other party of the error as soon as possible after having learned of the error, and indicates that he or she made an error in the electronic communications. The condition in the A here, it is the requirement of what? The requirement of notification, the notification of the error. The person who has made the error, the necessary person who has made the input error, or the party who he worked for, has to notify the other party of that error. See, as soon as possible after the error was known. Okay, and going to the condition, the last condition here, which is contained in B of Article 14 here. Okay, the person, again, the person here means the person, the next person who has made the input error, the person or the party on whose behalf that person was acting, that man, or maybe the company for the company that man works for. That person or the party on whose behalf that person was acting has not used or received any material benefit or value from the goods or services, if any, received from the other party. Well, that means in the case where A that has made, let's say that it has made a contract with B. A placed an order. A just sent an order to B, and A has made an input error. In this case, the law allows A to just withdraw the portion of the e-communication in which the input error was made, if it is the interaction between a man, an initial person, and an automated message system, and the automated message system does not allow this man to correct the error, okay? And A, the one who made this input error, has notified the other party, okay, as soon as possible after he learned of the error. And A, the person who has made the error has not yet used or received any material benefits or value from the goods or services. Let's suppose that if A has received the goods from B and has used the goods, okay, or received the material benefits from these goods, then obviously there is no reason for A to withdraw the portion, okay, in which the input error was made anymore, because A has already used the goods or received, the material benefits from the goods or services. So when 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 the person who has made an input error has used the goods or received any material benefits from the goods or services, then obviously there is no reason for withdrawal anymore. Okay, so we can say that now the convention, the UN Convention of 2005, or if you would like to just quote the full title of this convention, the UN Convention on the what? On the use of electronic communication in international contracts 2005 allows the withdrawal of the portion of e-communication in which an input error was made on certain conditions, in fact on 4 conditions. The first one is that it is the communication between a next person and the automated message system. Secondly, the automated message system does not allow any opportunity to correct the error. Thirdly, okay, the one who has made an input error has notified the other party of the error as soon as possible after learning of the error. And finally, that person, okay, the one who has made the input error or the party on whose behalf that person that was acting, okay, has not yet used the goods or has not yet received any material benefits from the goods or services. Okay, so this is, the new rule contained in this convention. We, in this country, in Thailand, okay, we have not been any party to the convention, but we, take a view that the provision of Article 14 here is, is reasonable. It is something good, so that we decided to adopt it, okay, and put into our ETA. So when the ETA was amended by the ETA number three, I'm not quite sure whether I just meant to talk about, I just referred to number 2, but if I said number 2, please correct into number 3 here, okay? We have the ETA number 3 in 2019, okay? Of course, when we, passed the ETA number 3 of the 2019, indeed, there are certain new provisions, one of which is section 17/1. 17/1 here deals with an input error, and if you look at the wording here, it is indeed the what? It is indeed the replication from Article 14, okay, of the UN Convention of the use of e-communications in international contracts. So I do not need to just explain the section 17/1 anymore, okay, because I have given you full explanations of the contents of Article 14 of the UN Convention, so that if you understand, the contents of Article 14 of the UN Convention, then you will understand the contents of the new section 17/1 as well. Okay, so that is something which I would like to just bring to your attention. Now, before the break, okay, we are moving on to consider one more thing. We are going to consider the issue regarding duplication in data messages, okay? Who will bear the risk of duplication in the case where there is some duplication of data messages? Who will bear the risk of duplication? Okay, when I say duplication, that means that something duplicated, okay? Let's suppose that I would like to just send an email, okay, to order a product, okay? So let's suppose that I have sent my email, but I'm not quite sure whether or not the email which has been sent has been transmitted to the other side successfully, feeling unsure about the safe arrival of the first email, the earlier email. Okay, I resent it, even though I have sent my order. I have made my order through email. I have sent my email, and this email has gone through the design, but I feel unsure whether or not this email has gone through, so I resent it. In this case, I made the second order. I placed the second order. In fact, I did not intend to order twice. I want to order, just let's say that I want to send an order for one book. But after I have sent my first order, I felt unsure about the safe arrival of this order. So I have indeed completed the form again, the order form. Then I just attached this order form with the second email. So I send the email again. I send this second email containing this second order. In fact, I did not want to make the order twice. The reason why I resent the order because I got a feeling that the first order did not go through. In fact, it went through. So this is a situation involving the duplication. Okay, so in the case of such duplication, who is going to bear the risk of this duplication? We have a situation where A, sends a duplicate message to B. A has sent the first order to B, but A, simply felt unsure whether or not the first order went through. Okay, so A just sent the second order by email again. In this case, B received two orders, the first one and the second one. The first order is the one for, let's say that for the 2 books. The first order is for 2 books. The second order is also for 2 books. So when B received these 2 orders, can B send 4 books to A? As per these 2 orders, let's suppose that B sent 4 books to A. The 2 books for the first order and the second books for the second order. And then B would like to just demand A to make payment for 4 books as per these 2 orders. Can A argue that, no, I'm not going to pay for 4 books. I would like to pay just for 2 books. Because I did not want to order twice, I wanted to order just 2 books. But the reason why the second order was sent because at the time, I felt unsure. I did not know that the first order had gone through, so that I repeated my order. Well, can be said, sorry, I don't care about that. When I received these 2 orders, I regard these 2 orders as separate. Can be say so. In the case of the duplication like this, who is going to bear the risk of duplication? The sender or the addressee, the sender, we can just use also the word the originator. The originator or the addressee bears the risk of duplication. Okay, remember when we talk about the error, we have seen that in the case of the message sent by A to B, if this message encounters any error resulting from such transmission, then who will bear the risk of the error resulting from the transmission? The answer is A, because B, the addressee, is not in the position to know about the error. This reason also applies to this situation by parity of reason. For the same reason, the law in section 18 of the ETA takes the view that, or takes the position that the addressee is not in the position to know of the duplication, so that the addressee can just regard the messages as separate. If there are two orders from A, then B can just regard that these messages are separate, not the duplication. So that in this case, B, when B received the order from A twice, B can regard that these two orders are separate, and B can just act on that assumption. B can just check that these two orders are separate, and B can just demand A to pay the price for two orders. This means that B can demand A to pay for 4 books, the 2 books from the first order and the other 2 from the second orders. Okay, so let's have a look at the rules contained in the section 18 of the ETA of our country. The ETA of Thailand in the section 18 provides as follows. Oh my God! Now I have given a lecture for an hour already. Okay, so I think that after I finish this provision, I'm going to call for a short break. Okay. Look at the wording in the section 18 of the ETA. The addressee is entitled to regard a set of data messages received as a separate data message, and to act on that assumption with respect to that set of data message. That means that, okay, if A send any data message to B, even though the messages are duplicates, B can regard those messages as separate, and B can just act on that assumption. Okay, this is the rule. So that if A send an order to B, an order for 2 books, but after the first order has been sent to B, A felt unsure about the successful transmission of this order, so that A repeated this order. A sent the second order, indicating the quantity of the goods as 2. So the second order, it is an order for 2 books. Even though A did not want to order 4 books, A wanted to order just 2 books. But the reason why A repeated the order is because A felt unsure whether or not the first order had gone through or not. In fact, it did go through the other side. In this case, B, after B has received 2 orders, B can regard that these 2 orders are separate. B, as the addressee, is entitled to regard each set of data message as separate data message. So B can just regard that these 2 orders are separate, and B can just act on that assumption with respect to that set of data message. So B can just demand A to pay for 4 books as per the 2 orders. That is the rule. Is there an exception? Well, I think that the answers seem to be the same as the one which we have addressed with respect to the section 17 in relation to errors from transmission. Okay, look at the exception. The exception is that if the addressee knew or should have known of the duplication, in that case the addressee is no longer entitled to regard the messages as separate anymore. See, look at the exception here. Unless such set of data message duplicates another set of data message, and the addressee knew or should have known, had the addressee exercised reasonable care and acted in accordance with the agreed procedure, that the data message was duplicate data message. Again, unless, if I try to just make it short, okay, unless the addressee knew or should have known that the data message was a duplicate data message. That means that that if B knew that these two orders are just duplicates, B is no longer entitled to regard these two orders as separate anymore. So if B knew of the duplication or should have known of the duplication, then B could just demand A to make payment for only 2 books as per just 1 order, not 2 orders. Okay, so this is something which we have to be aware of. Okay, I think that we have gone quite far now. Okay, we are going to have a break for about 10 minutes. Okay, so after the break, we are going to look at a very important issue here. The types of communication. Okay, you can see that the laws of many countries classify the communications into 2 types. Okay, the instantaneous communication and non-instantaneous communication. The reason why the laws of some countries classified communications into 2 types is because the time at which the communications become effective are different. Okay, let's say that in Thai law, if let's say that we have A and B, if A and B make communications, let's suppose that A declares an intention to B. If the declaration declared by A, it is declared in a non-instantaneous mode of communication, then it will be effective when it reaches the other party. When it reaches the other party, that means that when the other party receives it. So the rule of the effectiveness of the communication in this case, it is the receipt rule in Thai law. Okay, but in the case where A and B are in an instantaneous mode of communication, if A declares an intention to be in an instantaneous mode of communication, then the intention declared by A will become effective when it is known to the other party. So the rule which applies to this case is the perception rule. Okay, so the reason why we have to classify communications into 2 types is because we need to know at what point of time the communication in question will become effective. Okay, so the reason why we have to consider this is because nowadays we are surrounded by many devices. Okay, so when we communicate or when we declare our intention, okay, using all these devices, let's say that we just send our offer. We just make an offer to buy the goods. By what? By telephone, by telex, by facsimile, by email, or by some other technologies. Let's say that we just send our the offer by what? By the Facebook call, or sometimes we make a live call. Sometimes we even make the video conference or video call. If we just make use of these devices or these technologies in order to declare our intention, the intention which is declared is regarded by law as the intention declared in in an instantaneous mode or in a non-instantaneous mode. Okay, we have to consider this. We have to consider this because we will have to find out what time will our intention become effective. Okay, it will be effective according to the receipt rule or according to the perception rule. That is what we are going to consider. Okay, in the next part of the lecture. Okay, so now we are going to have a break for about 10 minutes. Okay, see you very soon. Okay, in the next part of the lecture. See you soon.